Let me share with you a truth most men never grasp, even after years of dating, relationships, or heartbreak. When you're with a woman, it's not the clever words you say that echo in her memory. It's how you make her feel about herself when she stands in your presence. This is where so many men fall short. They believe compliments are a form of currency. Say the right thing, earn her attention, keep piling on praise, maybe, just maybe, she'll fall for you. But what they fail to realize is this: most compliments are invisible. They evaporate the moment they're spoken, like breath on cold glass, passing through her ears without ever touching her soul. Because here's the problem: most compliments are painfully predictable. You're beautiful. You have gorgeous eyes. Your smile lights up the room. She's heard it all before. Not once, not twice, but dozens, even hundreds of times. And every time the words repeat, they grow emptier. Not because they aren't true or she doesn't appreciate kindness, but because they require no real attention. Any man with eyes can see her beauty. But how many see beyond that beauty? How many recognize the layers beneath? Her fears, her hopes, her quiet strengths. That's where most men stumble. They focus on what's visible, not what's rare. Imagine meeting a woman who seems confident and composed on the surface, but beneath her practiced smile she carries silent insecurities. Not about her looks, but about whether anyone truly understands who she is when no one's watching. That hidden part of her soul longs to be seen, yet most men are too distracted to notice, too eager to impress, too lost in themselves. Instead of observing, they perform. Instead of listening, they talk. Instead of seeing her, they scan her. Surface compliments create distance. Soulful recognition creates connection. When a man speaks to her essence, to the unseen parts of her, he steps into a space few have dared to enter. He becomes rare, unforgettable, magnetic. Because while her beauty may draw attention from many, her soul craves recognition from the few who truly see her. That, my brother, is the compliment most men never give. But here's where most men stumble without even realizing. Why women don't feel seen. Most people believe women receive endless attention. They assume that with every glance, every like, every compliment thrown her way, she must feel endlessly admired. But what they don't see is the silent gap between attention and recognition. A woman can walk into a room full of people who admire her beauty and still feel invisible. Why? Because most of that attention is shallow. It touches her appearance, but never reaches her core. There's a vast difference between being noticed and being seen. Being noticed means observing what's obvious: her face, her body, her style. Being seen means recognizing the invisible: her mind, her depth, her struggles, her quiet victories. Since early in life, women are conditioned to polish the surface. Look pretty, smile more, be pleasant, don't be too much, don't make others uncomfortable. Over time, many become masters at wearing the mask society expects, but inside a quiet question lingers. Would anyone still want me if I stopped performing? Most men never realize that behind the makeup and curated posts, she's silently questioning whether her ideas matter, whether anyone would admire her not for how she looks, but for who she is when she stops trying. And sadly, many women have been hurt for showing too much of themselves, once labeled too intense, too ambitious, or too emotional. Over time, she learns to hide those parts, to shrink, to soften, to adapt, surrounded by people who say you're gorgeous, but almost no one who says, I see your strength. I admire your mind. I honor your resilience. And so, she begins to crave something most men aren't even aware she needs. Not more compliments, not more likes, not more attention. She craves to be seen, fully, completely, honestly, recognized as a complex, beautiful, evolving human being. Here's the harsh truth. Most men lack the emotional intelligence, the stillness, or the courage to offer that kind of recognition. Because to see a woman fully requires you to be present, to observe not just what's presented, but what's withheld, to sense the energy behind her words, to hear what she doesn't say. It requires stepping out of yourself, stopping the urge to seek validation from her, and instead offering her a rare gift. Presence without agenda. A presence that makes her feel safe enough to relax, to exhale, to unfold. When a woman feels seen this way, something inside her shifts. She starts to wonder, who is this man? Why does he see parts of me I've hidden for so long? And that question creates a depth of attraction no amount of flattery could ever buy. And when you pull back the curtain even further, what you find is a silent craving buried deep inside every woman. The silent craving every woman carries. There's something most women will never say out loud, not because they're hiding it, but because they can't quite find the words themselves. It's a craving, a silent hunger that follows them into every room, every conversation, every relationship. It's not the craving for attention, not even the craving to be loved, not in the way most men think. It's the craving to be fully understood. Every woman carries layers of complexity. The world sees only fragments, her beauty, her accomplishments, her social smile. But deep inside, she fights quiet battles, wonders in the night. Am I enough? Am I too much? Will someone truly embrace who I am when I stop performing? Most of these questions remain unanswered because few people, especially men, slow down long enough to witness them. Society trains men to believe women need constant reassurance about their looks, yet kind words barely scratch the surface of her true need. She bears the weight of managing perceptions, balancing softness with strength, attractiveness with approachability, success with humility. It's an exhausting dance. And while the world praises her surface performance, almost no one offers true sanctuary, a place where she can finally drop the mask. That's the craving. Not more attention, not more praise, not more men chasing her for her looks. She craves depth. She craves a connection where she doesn't have to explain herself, where someone simply sees her, all of her, and remains. A man who isn't overwhelmed by her complexity, who doesn't need her to shrink, who honors both her softness and her fire. Because here's the secret most men never hear. When a woman feels emotionally safe, she begins to offer parts of herself that very few have ever seen. The way her eyes soften when she feels truly heard, the vulnerability she reveals when she knows she won't be judged, the depth of her mind long hidden because so few have cared enough to explore it. And in that sacred space, attraction transforms. It's no longer about physical beauty or chemistry. It's about intimacy, the rare kind that goes beyond the surface. But most men never get there. Why? Because they're too busy performing, trying to impress, trying to win her over with charm or games. In doing so, they miss the one thing that could set them apart, the ability to simply see her, to witness her without trying to fix her, to hold space for her without needing to control the outcome. Presence is the ultimate seduction, a man grounded in his own self-worth, who observes rather than performs, who listens rather than waits for his turn to speak, who compliments not for validation but as honest recognition. That man becomes unforgettable. Because to a woman who has carried the weight of being misunderstood for years, the man who finally sees her feels like home. But the good news? There's a language very few men speak, yet every woman longs to hear. Let me show you. 8 compliments that speak to her soul. 1. You see things in a way most people don't. There's something profoundly powerful about recognizing someone's mind. We live in a world obsessed with appearance. Everywhere she turns, people compliment her hair, her dress, her smile. The words blur together into an endless stream of predictable flattery, but very few people pause long enough to observe how she sees the world, how her mind works quietly beneath the surface, how she notices patterns others miss, how her thoughts carry depth, nuance, and a unique perspective. When you say, you see things in a way most people don't, you're not just complimenting her, you're validating her. You're recognizing her as someone whose perception carries weight, whose observations matter, who isn't simply reacting to life but interpreting it with her own lens. For many women, this strikes like lightning. Beneath the smiles and conversations, they wonder, does anyone notice how I think? Or do they only see how I look? Most men never attempt to reflect this back to her. They stay trapped on the surface. But you opened a door into her soul. You made her feel seen, not for what she presents, but for how she perceives. That feeling lingers long after the conversation ends. She'll replay those words, wondering how you noticed what others overlooked, feeling both comforted and curious. How does he see me like that? And that curiosity, that sense of recognition in a way she rarely experiences, is one of the deepest seeds of connection you can plant. You make people feel comfortable just by being around them. In a world filled with noise, pressure, and constant performance, few gifts are rarer than the ability to make others feel safe. Many women carry invisible tension, feeling they must be charming, entertain, meet expectations, manage perceptions. It's exhausting. But when you look at her with calm sincerity and say, "You make people feel comfortable just by being around them," you offer something most people never give: permission to simply be. You're not complimenting her looks or achievements. You're honoring the invisible warmth she carries, the calming energy she brings into any space. You're telling her, your presence itself is enough. Often she doesn't even realize she possesses that gift. She's spent so long adapting and performing that she's forgotten her being alone can feel like medicine to others. Most people acknowledge what's visible, but energy, vibe, atmosphere, that's something far more profound. You let her know storms calm in her presence, that without effort she brings peace, creating emotional safety few can offer. And safety, for a woman, is the foundation of real connection. You're not flattering her ego, you're feeding her soul, creating a moment of stillness where she can breathe deeply and drop her guard. She'll remember that feeling, because in a world where most men try to impress, you offered something far more valuable. You saw her calming power, you honored her energy, and you made her feel at home. You're more powerful than you realize. There are moments when this lands like a quiet storm. You don't say it casually or as a pickup line. You wait, you listen, you observe. Perhaps she's sharing a struggle, doubting herself, revealing vulnerability. Then, with steady eyes and a calm voice, you say, "You're more powerful than you realize." In that moment, something inside her shifts. Because every woman is fighting silent battles against insecurity, societal pressure, impossible standards. She wonders, am I doing enough? Am I too much? Am I strong or am I failing? Others offer empty reassurances or quick fixes. You don't try to solve her problems. You reflect her strength back to her. You remind her of battles she's already won and power she's yet to claim. You're not fixing her. You're reminding her of who she is. That quiet acknowledgement plants a seed of trust, respect, and intimacy most men never reach. It's magnetic, because you see her not just for her potential, but for her real, imperfect strength. And that, my brother, is unforgettable. There's something about you that makes silence feel good. Most people fear silence. They fill it with words, nervous laughter, pointless small talk. Silence feels like a void demanding to be filled. But true intimacy lives in the spaces between words, in the unspoken comfort of simply being present, together. So when you turn to her during a quiet walk, sitting in a car, or lying side by side and say with soft sincerity, "There's something about you that makes silence feel good," you're telling her, "With you, I don't need to perform. Your presence alone is enough." For many women, this is foreign territory. They feel responsible for managing the atmosphere, keeping conversations going, avoiding pauses. But here you are, offering permission to exist together in stillness, allowing silence to speak. That is where deep connection grows. Silence that feels good signals trust, and emotional safety words cannot manufacture. It says, "I'm at peace with you," and even more powerfully, you can be fully yourself without effort. In a world full of noise, you offered peace, and peace is unforgettable. You don't try to be different, you just are. There's something captivating about effortless uniqueness. So many chase the idea of being special, carefully crafting image and persona. Yet the harder they try, the more forced it feels. Women feel this pressure intensely. Be unique. but not weird. Be strong, but not intimidating. Be ambitious, but still agreeable. They walk a tightrope, trying to stand out just enough. But every once in a while, you meet a woman whose uniqueness simply is flowing naturally, uncalculated. When you look at her and say with calm sincerity, "You don't try to be different, you just are," you give her one of the rarest compliments she'll ever receive. You're not praising something she manufactured. You're acknowledging her essence. I see the part of you that's authentic, unfiltered, and true, and it draws me in. Deep down she wonders, am I too much? Do I need to tone myself down to be accepted? Your words silence those doubts, telling her she's enough exactly as she is. That emotional safety builds irresistible attraction. And that, my brother, is a compliment she will carry long after you're gone. You'd be dangerous if you ever realized how beautiful your mind is. This compliment carries quiet electricity. Society praises women for appearance early and often, but few honor the way a woman thinks, how she connects ideas, sees patterns, carries wisdom. When you listen to her insights and lean in with steady, reverent calm, you say, "You'd be dangerous if you ever realized how beautiful your mind is." She may pause, because you're striking at the core of something most people overlook, her potential. You're speaking to who she could become if she fully embraced her intellect. You plant a thought. Wait, what do you see in me that I haven't yet seen? That question draws her curiosity. You've given her both a compliment and a challenge, an affirmation and an invitation. Most men either compliment her looks or offer generic praise about intelligence. Few provide this nuanced recognition. You're not simply telling her she's smart. You're revealing her untapped power. Women feel drawn to the man who sees not only who they are, but who they're capable of becoming. That belief is rare. That vision is magnetic. That's what she'll never forget. You remind me of someone I haven't met yet. This is one of the most poetic compliments you can give. It sounds like a riddle, introducing mystery, depth, and soulful familiarity. You're not comparing her to someone from your past. You're saying, "You remind me of someone I haven't met yet." In those words lies. There's a part of you that feels familiar, yet entirely new. A connection I've always felt drawn to but never encountered. Until now. She senses that your meeting isn't random, that perhaps there's something timeless, inevitable about your bond. You plant the idea that she embodies qualities you've always sought, even if you didn't know exactly what they were. That sparks comfort and curiosity. What part of me is he seeing that even I haven't named? It elevates your connection from casual interest to soulful recognition. You honor the beautiful unknown between two people who feel both familiar and wonderfully new. Few things spark attraction like that balance of mystery and recognition. She won't forget it, not because you flattered her, but because you made her wonder. And in that wondering, you become unforgettable. You walk like you own the story no one else has read. There are compliments that flatter, and there are compliments that create mythology. This is the latter. You say with quiet confidence, "You walk like you own the story no one else has read." You honor her aura, the invisible narrative she carries into every room. You're telling her, there's depth inside you, a private world filled with chapters, struggles, and victories no one fully understands. But you wear that story with silent mastery. Most women feel misunderstood, simplified, reduced to labels. You offer something few men ever give, respect for her mystery. You acknowledge the weight of her journey, heartbreaks she survived, choices she made, storms she weathered without applause, and yet you admire the grace, dignity, and quiet power of her stride. You honor the story she owns without needing to decode it. That self-possession is magnetic. You invite her to feel safe enough to share her chapters, if and when she chooses. And that, my brother, is the essence of true masculine strength. Stillness, presence, and the ability to honor depth without trying to control it. And when you master these compliments, not as tricks but as reflections of her essence, you step into a rare kind of manhood. The Stoic man's secret. There's a reason most men fail to reach true depth with women. It's not because they lack charm or looks, or because they don't know what to say. It's because they never learned how to see. They mistake attention for connection, performance for intimacy, offering surface-level praise that bounces off like pebbles on a deep ocean. But the man who chooses presence over performance, stillness over striving, clarity over confusion, he speaks to her soul. Grounded in his own worth, he creates space for her to relax into herself. He offers emotional safety born from strength, from self-mastery, from control of his ego, from patience to listen not only to her words but to the energy beneath them. When a woman experiences this presence, something inside her unfolds. Her mask drops. Her guard softens. The performance fades, and in that space, true intimacy is born. Not the fleeting intimacy of lust, not the shallow attraction of flattery, but the profound bond created when two people meet, body to body, soul to soul. This, my brother, is the Stoic man's secret. We do not chase. We witness. We honor. We invite her to be fully herself, and that, above all else, is what women truly crave. If even one of these compliments opened your eyes, you've already begun to level up. Remember, it's not about memorizing lines. It's about becoming a man who naturally sees what others ignore. That's the rarest kind of man. That's who you're becoming. If you found value here, hit subscribe for more timeless wisdom and drop a comment with the word "notice" to let me know you're one of the men who truly sees. I'll see you in the next one.